Sunita Rao, Chief Dietitian, NU Hospitals, Bengaluru. Today I'm going to talk to you about the management of potassium in chronic kidney disease. So when chronic kidney disease is diagnosed, creatinine is definitely the marker that everybody observes on a regular basis, because it marks the, either the check of the disease or the progress of the disease. But when it comes to diet, potassium rules the day, because the amount of food that you take, the type of food that you choose in your everyday diet, all this is determined by the potassium content of the food. So what is potassium? It is a major dietary mineral that helps the body to regulate the pH level, to regulate the fluid levels in the body. It is very important to control blood pressure, and it also plays a very important role in sensory and nerve functions. However, the most important role here for us today is that it controls the muscle contractions, including the heart muscle contraction. So you can safely assume that normal potassium level is equal to normal heart rhythm. In CKD, what happens is the excess of potassium that accumulates in your blood through the food that we eat is not filtered out because of the ailing kidneys. The kidneys will not be able to remove excess potassium in the urine. And this can happen both in non-dialysis and dialysis conditions. This excess potassium in the blood is called hyperkalemia. And some of the medications also can increase the risk of hyperkalemia. This is a very serious condition and it can lead to cardiac arrest. Now, does this come with any warning symptoms? Yes, there can be extreme weakness, there can be fatigue, nausea, numbness of the limbs, and a slow pulse. And most of the time, people come into the emergency room with these symptoms, and they have to be initiated on potassium corrections immediately. So now it is pretty clear that we have to manage potassium in our diet. How do we do this? The first step towards management of potassium is to get blood work done regularly. And also, you have to learn to read the blood report. If your potassium levels are in the range of 3.5 to 5 milliequivalents per liter, then you are in the safe zone. Anything above this or below this will mean that it is not okay or abnormal, and you will have to call the doctor. Depending upon the potassium level in the blood, you might be started on immediate potassium corrections with IV medications, or you might be given potassium binders. But this is for the immediate reduction of potassium levels in your blood. In the long run, if you have to manage potassium in your blood in the normal range, you will have to do diet modifications. So based on your blood reports, the diet prescription for potassium can be anywhere between 1.5 to 2 grams per day. That is about 40 to 50 milliequivalents of potassium per day. Of course, this can depend upon the reports. This can change depending upon your blood reports or the medications that you take. Now, before we get into diet modifications for potassium restriction, let us see what an average diet consists of. On an average, in the normal population, a healthy diet can contain up to 8 grams of potassium per day. Now, to bring down the 8 grams of potassium per day to your diet prescription of 1.5 to 2 grams of potassium per day can be a big challenge, but you can do it with the help of your renal nutritionist. If you choose your foods properly and exercise portion control, you will be able to achieve this required goal. Most of us think that fruits and vegetables are the only food sources that are very high in potassium. This is not true. There are a lot of foods across the different food groups that we eat which are very high in potassium. So you need to know and make informed choices. You also need to know, when you are managing potassium in your diet, you need to know a few things. One is that the potassium content of any food depends on the soil that it is grown in. Basically, the water quality, the fertilizers that is used for cultivation, and so the geography in which it is grown matters. So the food that is grown in India can have a different potassium level compared to what is grown in other corners of the world. So if you look at internet sources for your potassium values to try maintaining potassium, this can be very misleading because they can have potassium sources from different parts of the world. So ask your renal nutritionist for the potassium list that is right for you. Potassium management and leaching are something that is kind of synonymous, but let us learn a few important facts about leaching today. Leaching of food, of course, is done to reduce potassium. And since potassium is a water-soluble mineral, it can reduce the amount of potassium in the food to a very great extent. But, and of course, leaching is done in two ways. One is by soaking the food in a large quantity of warm water for a long duration of time, like half an hour or an hour. And at the end of it, discard the soaked water and cook the food in fresh water. The second way of doing it, of course, is by boiling the food in a large quantity of water, discarding the water and taking the food forward for cooking. But in whatever way you leach the food, there are a few things that you have to remember. Leaching renders the food quite tasteless and less nutritious because along with potassium, a lot of water-soluble vitamins and minerals are also lost during leaching. And we know that leaching works well with roots and tubers. However, we are not very sure as to how much of potassium is left in other foods that you leach. It has a lot of variable factors involved. Basically, the method you use for leaching, for example, the size of the food particle, the amount of water that you take for leaching, and the duration to which you leave the food in the water. All these matter to determine the effectiveness of leaching. So if you begin with a food that is very high in potassium, even after leaching the food considerably, you might be left with a good amount of potassium. And if you take a lot of this food or take this food very frequently, your blood potassium levels can still rise. So these are some of the facts that you have to remember about leaching. And also, leaching may not be required for everybody who has been diagnosed of chronic kidney disease. It is not like a blanket rule that the moment somebody is diagnosed of CKD, they have to start leaching their food. It will all depend upon your blood reports, the stage of CKD, and the other dietary factors in your everyday meal. So do consult your renal nutritionist and make proper choices. Let us take a look at the different food groups and their potassium content in these foods. The pulses and lentils, these are high in potassium, but they form the staple in an Indian diet. And also, when you take a vegetarian diet, pulses and lentils are the main sources of protein for vegetarians. So avoiding pulses and lentils completely in an attempt to reduce the protein or the potassium in your diet can lead to malnutrition, and malnutrition can have disastrous effects on your health. So it is not advisable to avoid this food group completely from your diet, even if you are not on dialysis, even if you are on a low protein diet. Instead, you could avoid other potassium sources that are less nutritious and manage the potassium levels in another way. Dairy products, in general, most dairy are high in potassium, and especially the processed dairy foods are very high in potassium. These can be the unprocessed dairy like the milk and the curd can be consumed in moderate amounts, but it would be better to avoid or restrict the portion sizes of processed dairy like the condensed milk or milkshakes or sweets made from milk. You will have to consult your renal dietitian about your portion sizes. The portion sizes will differ based on the stage of CKD, whether you are being dialyzed or you are in the non-dialysis stage of CKD. Other sources of potassium that you would have to monitor are the meat and meat products, fish, nuts and seeds, as all these products are also high in potassium. Now, do you have to avoid this altogether? May not be. You don't have to avoid it altogether, but again, restrict your portion sizes. Coming to fruits and vegetables, this food group is divided into categories like low, medium, or high potassium fruit and vegetable categories, so we can choose easily from these different food groups. I will be sharing with you a few common fruits and vegetables that are used commonly in an Indian diet, and the data for the potassium sources, the potassium content of these vegetables has been sourced from the Indian Food Composition Tables published by ICMR in 2017. It's an excellent reference for potassium values for the Indian population. Now, here on the slide, you see two vegetables that are very low in potassium. I will be talking about the potassium levels in 100 grams of all these fruits and vegetables. The snake gourd and tinda have a considerably less amount of potassium, less than 100 mg for every 100 grams. Here we see potassium vegetables that have quite low potassium values again. The bottle gourd, capsicum, cucumber, ridge gourd. These are a few of the vegetables that have less than 200 mg of potassium in 100 grams of the vegetable. Here you see on the screen high potassium vegetables. They have potassiums ranging between 200 to 300 mg. It doesn't mean that you have to avoid these vegetables altogether, but portion sizes do matter, as most of these vegetables are the common Indian vegetables that we use every day. This last category is the very high potassium vegetables, that is, they have above 300 mg for every 100 grams that you take. This is the green leafy vegetables, the potatoes, the ash gourd or the white pumpkin, drumstick, raw banana, beetroot, cauliflower, and mulkol. These are some of the vegetables that are beyond 300 mg for every 100 grams. These definitely have to be consumed with caution in whether you can eat these vegetables, whether you have to avoid it altogether, leach them, or the portion sizes. All these will depend upon the stage of CKD, your current potassium levels in the blood, and also the other aspects of the diet that you have in a day. Now let's take a look at some of the fruits that we commonly take in India. Apples, pear, kokum, and kala jamun. These are the vegetables that have quite low, that is less than 100 mg of potassium for every 100 grams. However, when you are eating fruits or when you're thinking about fruits, you have to be very careful because fruits are always had in the raw form, and when you eat food raw, the amount of potassium that gets assimilated in your body is very high. So don't have fruit juices. You can have fruits in small quantities as advised to you. These three other common fruits that we say every day are having potassium in the range of 10 to 200 mg for every 100 grams of the fruit. Again, portion sizes do matter. Now, there are a few other foods that are very high in potassium and are best avoided. Those are the tender coconut water, the fruit juices, the bottled beverages, the health drinks that you can buy over the counter, the nutritional supplements that are not renal specific. All these can have very high amount of potassium, and they can increase your blood potassium levels to a great extent. So these are best avoided. And coming to the low sodium salts, these salts are not okay for people suffering from kidney disease because these salts have potassium as a substitute for sodium to reduce the amount of sodium. These are often marketed as heart healthy salts or salts that control blood pressure, but these salts, low sodium salts, are not okay for kidney disease. So remember, you have to maintain your blood potassium levels to maintain a normal heart rhythm and a normal muscle function. So choose well and be potassium wise. Thank you.